going on, but I'll try to find out. Good afternoon, people of Timisoara and surrounding region. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Axel Pawlik. I'm the Managing Director of the RIPE NCC. Second time in Romania. I feel at home. I did a quick round around the square this morning. That was lovely. It wasn't too hot, too cold. I feel especially at home because lunch and red cabbage, and that was really, really nice. Highlight of the day so far. My mom used to make it, but this is better than my mom. Sorry, mom. All right, so update from the RIPE NCC for those of you who have not been following too closely. My apologies to the first row or two rows that have seen this frequently. Some of the things change occasionally, but you are excused to your email if you need to. All right, so what is the RIPE NCC? It's the RIPE Network Coordination Center. It's your club. It's meant to be the secretariat for the RIPE community, and you're all part of the RIPE community, of course. We distribute IP addresses and ASNs. We maintain the RIPE database, that is the software and the registry part of that, and of course we have our friends and community who maintain their parts of the content of the RIPE database. We do a lot of data collections. We do access to data as well, some tools, and you'll see a little bit in this session later on when Christian talks about it. So RIPE Stat, RIPE Atlas, and other things that we do. Other services, like for instance the K-root server cluster that we operate around the world as well. Good for the internet. We are fully funded by our members, and there are quite a lot of them. We are fully autonomous in that sense. We do not rely on any other financial contributions, which is lovely. We can do what our members tell us to do and nothing else. The way we operate, we pride ourselves on being open, transparent, neutral, and impartial. So all our documents are online, minutes from the board meetings and the like, procedures and policies certainly as well. And I would invite all of you, if you notice us veering from the path, let us know. Right, so focus for this year, and we are sort of halfway through this already. The board asked us to rethink our service delivery, the way we do business, and how we deal with our members and community, and to ensure in doing that the accuracy of the registry and the RIPE database. We should do more outreach, as we are today, do outreach to stay connected with our members and their needs and other stakeholders, the wider community as well, to look at our colleagues in the other areas to strengthen the global regional internet registry system, and to ensure, again, accountability, transparency, and resiliency there. And of course, I need to understand our members to be able to better meet your needs and to add value to your operations. And by the way, this is not red, so come, it's yellow, it's inviting, it's warm, come to talk to me, and my colleagues, of course, as well. So, talking about members and membership growth, this is crazy and going up fairly steeply, and it's steepening even. So while we talk about membership growth and the title here, this basically what we are counting is local internet registries, and of course one member can have several LIRs. You see over the last 12 months now we hit the 3,000 mark, 3,000 more of those things over the last 12 months. That is unprecedented and exciting and sometimes a little bit scary as well. And why is that? We think that a lot of this comes from the remaining IPv4 pool, where every new member can get a /22. It's only 1,000 addresses, but people really, really, really like them. That has led to the depletion of the official, the last /8 that we got from the IANA, like years ago, the 185/8. But of course, we have received a couple of IPv4 blocks back from our members over the last couple of years. So now we are allocating from those under the same policies. And we think it'll last for about another 2 years until we really run dry. Of course, that will be an interesting time. Looking at the number of addresses that we see transferred over the last couple of years, It appears that 2017 was really, really busy in the transfer of addresses. Overall, you would see a slightly decreasing trend there from 14, 15, 16. So we looked at that in some more detail. And, well, we think it's not really necessarily the market, you know, where people trade IP addresses. Nearly 80% of the 21 million were what we call administrative transfers between related entities, parts of one company, subsidiaries, restructuring, consolidations, and the remaining 4.6 million addresses were what we call sort of the proper on-the-market transfers. And if you look 4.6 million, looking at where we are, that is actually then continuing the downward trend in the number of addresses being transferred. Right, yeah, overall though, as you've seen, the spike, there's a higher number of transfers overall, so lots of transfers of small blocks, lots of work for us, so yeah, we are being busy in Amsterdam. Another interesting thing also is, if you look at graphs, IPv4 versus IPv6, we do see more LIRs without IPv6 these days, which is on the face value somewhat surprising. But if you look at what this causes, there was a requirement early on v6 for the last /22 allocations, and that has been dropped. And then, of course, as you go along and get your last /22s there, you don't have to, you probably already have IPv6, so that might, or probably is accounting for this strange effect. Right. As I said, we are a membership association. We are your club, if you remember. As a membership association under Dutch law, we are required to hold general meetings. We typically have 2 per year, one in May and one in October, always associated with the RIPE meetings to make sure that lots of people can come in or maybe are already there to participate, but also, of course, we have remote participation for a couple of years now already. So, report from the general meeting last month in Marseille we were. We have 2 new executive board members, Falk and Piotr, from Germany and from Poland respectively. We had a vote on the charging scheme for next year. Okay, there's no big surprise, it remains the same as we see it this year. The members adopted the financial report, confirmed the new arbiters, and discharged the executive board as sort of an administrative action there. The next general meeting will be at the next RIPE meeting. It will be RIPE 77 in Amsterdam. Please do come, you're all invited. As members, do register, of course, and if you can't make it physically in person, of course, you can also participate remotely, like I said. So, as we have come to Romania, we looked at our statistics a little bit, and of course, Christian will have much more on those things. But looking at members, we have 255 member accounts open today, and of those, more than 110 with IPv6. In terms of allocations, 2,500 IPv4 allocations within the country, so there was a decent growth there so far this year, 160 more, and 121 IPv6 allocations, and we saw moderate growth there this year, similar to what I said a little bit earlier. We run this measurement network, RIPE Atlas. We have nearly 80 probes connected in the country, and we have 2 sort of big, beefy RIPE Atlas anchors in here as well. Thank you for those of you who are hosting them. All right, you might have seen a lot of emails in your box sort of announcing that, oh, there's something changing in the EU with data protection, and would you please make sure that you stay on the mailing list if you're interested in all those things. This is all based somewhere in the new General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, that became applicable in May this year, last May 25th, I think it was. Of course, at the RIPE NCC, holding all the data that we do, and being a membership association, holding some of your data as well. We looked at how we comply with this regulation, and we were happy to see that we did a similar effort like 10 years ago in the database data protection task force that the community launched. So we went back to that, looked at what we did then, looked at the GDPR and adjusted some things. There are a couple of things that we want to amend in the RIPE database, how that reacts. But generally, we feel we were very well prepared. Now we are compliant. There are more details on RIPE Labs. There's a couple of articles there going a little bit more into detail. If you are so inclined, please do have a look. Yeah, you might have heard about the Internet of Things. It's in the newspapers all the time. We have been looking at this for a couple of years now, wondering, scratching our heads a little bit. As a regional internet registry, as your secretariat, what should we do with this thing? I've once been told, being sort of seen as an authority in this field, not the Internet of Things necessarily, but now in the Internet, that we should go and ask the government of China to fix security on the Internet of Things gadgets. Well, I can't quite do this. This is not quite our service region. It's not quite the level of our authority really to tell the government of China what to do. But we wondered, what is our role here? And I'm happy to say that the RIPE community has, after having had a couple of BOFs, that they have formed a working group on the Internet of Things to discuss, as it says, challenges and opportunities for you. But of course also from that I take, as your organization, we take our cue on what we should be doing in this field. So please do let us know. Right. Capacity building, we are here, for instance, but we go to all sorts of places within our service region to reach out to our members, to facilitate community building, to encourage people coming together, talking to each other, and meeting where maybe they haven't met before. That's sometimes an interesting event, but also just to contribute to local events, for instance. So we have recently had a regional meeting in Moscow 2 weeks ago. Yes, 2 weeks ago. And before that, a couple of weeks earlier in Tehran, in Iran as well. We do, when we go to a given city with a training course or something similar, we do like to take the opportunity to invite our local members to come for a lunch and just a meet and greet and see what is up and what do they want from us and what can we do for you. Those things are quite popular, small events. We, for years, have the IPv6 Roadshow program. We have trained a couple of trainers, and there's a next sort of yearly event coming up in Amsterdam for the trained people. Lots of other training courses. I'll talk about this in a little while. We do country-focused meetings. Kazakhstan is coming up in 2018, later in the year, October-ish, September-ish. Yes, somewhere there. It's on our website, of course. We do meetings for governments, for regulators, roundtables like that. We do meetings for law enforcement as well when there is the interest. And we have a new staff member, not that new anymore, in the Caucasus region looking after our members there. NOGs are important to us, close to our heart. So the core community for us at the RIPE NCC as well. So we know of about 25 NOGs, more than 25 NOGs in our service region. We have a nice map on our website. There's a whole website geared towards NOGs. You can, move this thing around and pinch in and pinch out and see where they all are over all of the world that we know of. So we do help, we can help, we do help national local NOGs with their meetings if they need help. Of course, we provide speakers when wanted. We do some light sponsoring there and of our expertise. We've been doing this for quite a while now. As we think the NOGs do have a crucial role to play in the development of the internet, we come out of the same mold a couple of years, or many years ago, so we very much support that type of thinking, that type of activity. Like I said, we have a separate web page, or a web page geared towards NOGs on our big web site. So, policies. The policy development process these days, if you follow it, is largely concerned with small bits of housekeeping, putting more precision into the documents, slight changes of words just to make it precise and very clear what the policy really means. So those are those on the slide. Another one that was a first was a policy that has recently been declared consensus on was the Abuse C policy that was introduced by law enforcement. That was also interesting and nice to see that our community widens into other stakeholders areas as well. Training and the like. Our training courses are terribly popular. We try to do as many as we reasonably can, and we put some trainings into the events where we go, and some of you have seen Massimo this morning here as well. But of course we do all sorts of things in training, and we are focusing on also remote access to those. So we have started doing webinars, relatively short events on a number of topics there that are quite popular. We also, as the webinars were interesting for our community, we started to stick them together and make a whole day out of this. We call this RIPE NCC Educa. It's a full one-day online event with a series of shorter webinars on one specific topic. So the last one that we did was earlier this month on the 6th on the anniversary of the World IPv6 launch day, probably on IPv6, as you would imagine. This basically meant as support to people who can't come to the training courses, or have been one, and this is another interesting topic for them. The trainers there are our own staff and also invited experts from other places that, well, can speak to the topic. Also, for quite a while, we do the RIPE NCC Academy. It's a virtual learning environment, so self-paced courses there. You get certificates at the end, available to members and also to non-members. The courses that we currently have is the LIR course, Local Internet Registry course, the RIPE Database Expert course, and an introduction to IPv6. And this is something that we want to put some resources in over the course of the next couple of months and next year. I think that has quite some potential for us. Like I said, data collection is one thing that we are doing, but also we are trying to give access to the data and to visualize it in new and exciting ways. So here you see a new visualization for the IXP country JEDI, looking at how the end-user to end-user connections within a country go. Interesting, have a look at the web page. They look pretty and they mean something if you dig into this a little bit deeper. RIPE IP Map as well, slightly renamed thing. The collaborative approach to geolocating the internet infrastructure, the core infrastructure in our service region. Have a look at that, also looks pretty. Outreach, not only coming to meetings like this, talking to our members and our community and other stakeholders as well, but we try to get new people into the community as well, in terms of young ones, students, and researchers. We have the RACI initiative, the RIPE Academic Cooperation Initiative, as we call it, that is quite successful. We do fellowships within RIPE, but also here in SCE. So we have basically opportunities and facilities to get people out to those meetings they wouldn't normally go to or couldn't maybe go to. So, speaking about all sorts of meetings, the next big RIPE meeting is coming up in Amsterdam in October. I would love to promise you wonderful weather. It probably will be wonderful weather, but I can't guarantee it. And also we had some rain here too, right? So we're trying our best. You're all very welcome remotely and of course in person as well. I promise you it will be a nice meeting. Thank you very much. If you have any questions to me or my colleagues, I'm here until tomorrow afternoon, and my colleagues a little bit longer even, so shoot away. Thank you.